Thank you for tuning in to Perks Pod Podcast. I really appreciate you. I know it's been a minute since I have released an episode. Recently, I had contracted COVID for the second time, so that was fun. Still having some symptoms, scratchy throat, cough, which is coming in about now. So if I start having coughing fits in the middle of this podcast, please forgive me. Um, I caught it about 4 or 5 days ago, or yeah, I should say about 5 days ago. Um, had to bunker down in my house. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as the first time I got it. When I had started having symptoms, the very next morning I woke up with like a 102 fever. Haven't dealt with a fever this to go around, thank God. But it's been a lot of coughing, scratchy throats. I was having a little bit of body aching the first couple days, but I haven't had that happen in a few days. So I think the worst is over. Not that it was really bad to begin with. So my body's really just coughing the rest of it out now, as annoying as it is. It does let me know that it's nearing its end. Thank goodness. Um, Being cooped up has had its silver linings too. Even though I couldn't go out with friends or go to work and make money, I was able to spend my time resting, reading books, playing video games with the boys as well, and also just being creative. For those of you who do not know, the ones who know me and I haven't told or just don't know me at all, I am in the process of working on a book. Um, More specifically, a book series. I expect the series to go no more than 4 or 5 books. Definitely no more than five. Um, I call it the Bloodstone series, and I know most of you guys, if not all, I feel like all should know. Avatar: The Last Airbender. All of you should know about that show. It is one of my favorite shows growing up. Was one of my favorite shows, still is, and it was the show that made me fall in love with the aspect of elements. Um, as you should know, earth, fire, air, water. Those four elements. Benders, people who control those elements. Um, and then the Avatar, who controls all four. Watching that show, growing up and reading comics and superheroes and all that and other pop culture mediums, um, I just fell in love with elements and just the ability to manipulate them. And I would say, even in reading Greek mythology, a lot of the powers that came with Greek mythology were elements of nature. Zeus, Poseidon, even Hades. Uh, so stuff like that I always found extremely, extremely interesting. And I decided to basically make my own world with it. Now, it does have the four elements that you would find in Avatar, but I do have one additional one, which is the element of life, mostly dealing with, like, plants and things like that. Um, One of the biggest obstacles of creating something like that is making it so unique and original to where it will be its own thing. Because the last thing I want someone to do is to read, whenever I produce this thing, to read my book and be like, oh, it's a knockoff Avatar, or it's another version of Avatar. And that's like the last thing I want to do, even though I might be setting myself up because I draw so much influence from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Um, I'm also doing my hardest to make it as original as possible. One thing different from Avatar for sure. I want to implement a lot of science in my book, in my books. My world, I want to have a certain set of rules and um, a certain guideline to how things work, so that it will give way to uh, a lot more realistic things and realistic concepts. So one of the things that I want to bring up is lightning. So, if anyone has not watched Avatar, I will say right now that you're stupid. Also, go watch it. In Avatar, Jesus. In Avatar, the element of fire, firebenders, they are the ones who are able to bend lightning, who are able to use and control it. Now, I did some research on lightning, and I will say that when it comes to controlling lightning in the Avatar world, there's not really much to be explained, and no one's like sitting there, well, how can firebenders control lightning? It's just a part of their power. It's just once you get to a certain level of firebending, you'll be able to control lightning. It's just something we accepted. However, with me, I wanted to take a more scientific approach. So, in these last couple days that I have been cooped up in this place, I have done some research on how certain phenomena occurred, and how they could possibly be manipulated. And the funny thing is, what I've learned is, in Avatar, firebenders are the one who can bend lightning. But in reality, in our world, in our real life world, if benders existed, and I would say that outside of purely fire, water, air, and earth, the ones who would be most likely to actually produce lightning are waterbenders. So, in clouds, in the thick, big, dark, poofy clouds that you see above that produce said lightning, how lightning is produced is the water droplets and even ice crystals that are formed within those clouds. When they start to collide and run into each other within those clouds, they create electric charges. Negative charges sit on the bottom of the clouds. Positive charges sit on the top of the clouds. And a lot of times, most lightning that you see is from cloud to cloud. You see the charges interacting with other charges from clouds. But sometimes there are electric charges on the ground that interact with the ones from the clouds, and that's when you see from those cloud to ground lightning strikes. But basically, all of that is formed because of water. The water molecules and the really small water droplets and the ice crystals running into each other, creating electric charges, has nothing to do with fire. Actually, has nothing to do with heat at all, other than the fact that those clouds are mostly formed so big because of warm and cold air clashing. And I thought that was very interesting. And certain things like in Avatar, waterbenders can change water from its solid to liquid to gas form, at will. Now, the thing about that is that requires a change in temperature. That requires manipulating temperature. And there are certain rules that I set in my world, in my book. And let's just say that there's only one elemental influence that can manipulate the temperature of things, and water is not one of them. So I started looking up things, how you can, make water freeze or, make water evaporate without changing temperature. And the crazy thing is, there's so many ways that you can do that. For instance, making ice at room temperature is very possible if you know how to manipulate the molecules of water. So there's two ways you can do it. One will be an ice that you're used to seeing, the type of ice that comes out your freezer, and the other one will be an ice that you're not used to seeing. That may sound confusing, but I'm going to break it down to you. So there's two scientific ways that I know about to make ice at room temperature. One of them is probably the most impossible one, is to compress the molecules at a pressure that is equivalent to 10,000 pascals. Now, that would be like putting something 64 miles below sea level in the bottom of the ocean at that pressure. That is a lot of pressure. I don't even know if you can fathom how much pressure that is. And it would create ice at room temperature. However, it would not be cold ice. It would not be the ice that we know. It's just a block of compacted, pressurized water molecules. It wouldn't even be cold. That's the most unrealistic one to do. And I mean, it's possible, but just extremely hard. The second one that they have actually tons of videos on YouTube is boiling water to produce ice. I'm going to say that again. Boiling water to produce ice. I'm going to go full nerd mode here because I thought this was probably one of the most interesting things I've ever watched. If you were to create a vacuum, and a lot of people may not know, the boiling and melting point of water is actually directly tied to atmospheric pressure. So that's why you can create ice at a crazy amounts of pressure at room temperature. I've also seen this happen in front of my eyes. You can also boil water at room temperature if you basically put water in a capsule or any type of enclosure and create a vacuum. Then you're able to basically boil it in the palm of your hands. So when water boils and evaporates, heat is absorbed and released. When water evaporates, in order for it to evaporate, the water droplets have to absorb the heat. And then when the water meets that point and where it officially evaporates, that heat is released. It is the reason why you can actually catch hypothermia in 102-degree weather. You go to somewhere like Arizona or New Mexico with that dry heat and it's really hot outside, get out of a pool, sunbathe, it'll evaporate the water off your skin so quickly that it absorbs all the heat from your body, and you can actually catch hypothermia in 100-plus weather conditions. I think that's so interesting to me, and I actually had a science teacher in high school who told me that happened to him, where he got out of the pool, and then next thing you know, he basically got chilled to the point where he had to go and heat up, and he was in 102-degree weather in Arizona. But anyway, you create some kind of vacuum, and you boil the water at room temperature. And as the heat continues to be dissipated from the water molecules that are turning into vapor, all that heat is releasing and dropping the temperature of the water, and it starts to freeze. So you're freezing water by boiling it in that vacuum. And these are the type of things that I'm going to be implementing in my book. A big scientific approach. It's also why the environment that my book is going to be based around is going to be steampunk. I think steampunk is the perfect middle ground for where technology meets nature, where you use actual natural processes to create the technology that runs, your society. Steam engines, stuff like that is very steampunk ideal. So, I've just been doing a lot of research on that stuff like that, looking into things, making things different from Avatar. And one of the biggest things that I want to make different is the fact that, how in Avatar you have benders, and each bender can only do one element, except only for the Avatar who controls all four. In my book, most people will only be able to control one element. However, there are going to be I even have a term for it. There's going to be people who can control more than one element, and there's 5 elements. There are going to be people who technically have an affinity for all 5. I don't want to give away too much, just in case, maybe some of you reading or listening to this might eventually read it. But there's going to be different pros and cons to people who are able to control more than one. And just all those applications that I want to put in my book. It's very exciting. You could tell that I definitely am excited to work on it, and that I'm actually having fun with doing scientific research on it. It's a bunch of sounds like a bunch of nerd stuff, and in a way you're right, but I enjoy it. So I would definitely keep people posted on the progress of that. Really, with this podcast, I really didn't have any specific direction I wanted to take. I also do want to talk about opinions. I want to talk about opinions and comedy because I've been seeing a lot of both recently. You know, it's really sad that a lot of comedians today have to put disclosures in the middle of their sets. Like, oh, these are all jokes. Oh, I don't really mean this. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I can't stand where we've come with dealing with opinions. Not even in the comedic world, but in general. Do you remember when you were in middle school and your opinion was either crapped on or it was ignored or it was just like, yeah, I agree, but you never got canceled for your opinion, or no one ever tried to get you kicked out of school for your opinion? Well, depending on what your opinion was, but anyway, the opinion that didn't support communism or genocide or whatever, as long as it didn't do that, no one cared about your opinion. No one cared about it. No one sought to have repercussions happen because of it. I just miss that, man. I don't like the fact that comedians have to go up here and send these disclosures now about like, oh, this isn't how I feel actually, and these are all jokes. And the sad thing is we have to. And you know, it's funny. One of my favorite comedian, Dave Chappelle, put it the best way when he was talking about DaBaby. Talking about how DaBaby had killed someone in North Carolina in a Walmart, shot him. And he said when that happened, his sales actually went up. Nothing happened. Everything was fine and hunky-dory. You know, he shot a dude, killed a dude in Walmart, and went on about his day. And then, you know, when he made comments at one of his concerts about the LGBTQ community, it is a mouthful, so I'm going to just say the community. When he made comments about the community, that even Dave Chappelle was like, that's a little harsh, his show got canceled. And Dave Chappelle was like, yeah, you can shoot a man, you can gun down a man in Walmart and everything be, you know, fine and hunky-dory, but you better not make any comments about the community, otherwise you get canceled. And I thought that was that's always one of the biggest, you know, examples that pop in my head, because that just shows how crazy that is. Like, I want you to register how crazy that is. For someone to be able to kill a man, go to a concert, and actually have increased sales, and then for him to make just an opinionated comment about the community, even if what he said was outlandish or out of pocket, it didn't affect nobody's life or health to say something like that. I don't know what he said. I didn't research exactly what he said afterwards, but I just know that there's no possible way that a comment like that would, you know, would do something like that. Unless he called the community an abomination and told all of his followers to, you know, if you found someone that was part of the community, you know, gun them down or anything. And I highly doubt. Actually, I know he didn't do nothing like that. But I feel like as long as it's not like outlandish like that, then, you know, just what's the point? What's the point of canceling, you know, someone that doesn't have anything to do with your life? And what's crazy is another thing with artists, Lil Nas X, he is part of the community. Like, you know, he's part of that community. And he made a joke on Twitter about like some drama with a guy and was like, said something along the lines of makes me wish I can go straight again, or like guys like these, you know, I don't know, some about going straight again. Just a joke about going after women now. And to see how many people in the community backlashed at him and like just dogged him and was like, you know, throwing a fit like he's making fun of us like this is a choice, or you know, he's making fun of our lifestyle, or just demeaning us as people. And I looked at it, and Lil Nas X issued he put out another tweet saying that it was just a joke, that he really didn't mean it. But I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. You know, to like that's like me going on Twitter or Facebook or whatever have you and saying, man, got pulled over in another ticket, man, if only I could be white and, you know, talk my way out of a ticket. And just make a stupid joke like that everybody knows, like, is a cliche, you know, white people have it better with the cops than black people do. That's like me making a comment like that, and all the black people I follow and that follow me come around like, oh, so you're demeaning black people or making fun of black people or saying that, you know, basically talking down on what it means to be black or whatever. And I just can't fathom that, yo. And, you know, is stuff like that, it just baffles me. And it makes me sad because it's like, if things keep going in this direction that it's been going for like the past 5-6 years, I feel like comedy is going to end up being banned altogether. Like, we'll be able to make jokes about nothing but airplane food and cheesy one-liners that nobody finds funny anymore. And just to see comedians have to start doing that, making these disclosures in the middle of their sets, and people coming up to them afterwards, making comments about certain things and how that's insensitive or blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, bruh, I think that there should be like a survey now. And the survey should just have a whole bunch of questions about jokes and about what you would get offended at. And if you click get offended to any of those things, you should not be allowed to go to the concert or to the show. You should not be allowed to go to the special, whatever comedy thing they have going on. If you click yes to any of these boxes that you get offended at, you should just not be allowed to go. Because what's the point, bro? Like, why do you take yourself to these places knowing the comedian, knowing the type of material they have, and then still going up to someone afterwards and be like, why did you do this? This is offensive. Why would you say this? It makes no sense to me anymore. And for a lot of us, not even comedians, but just regular people, like even me, comedy and laughter to me has been a very, very viable source of healing or coping, dealing with things. You know, I've made jokes. People who know me, my biggest insecurities, I make the most jokes about, because that's how I like to just deal with things. And that's how I become more accepting of things. I make jokes and I laugh at things, and I laugh at myself. And I've even had people get mad at me for making jokes about myself. Like, I remember I made a joke about something about myself, and then someone actually got upset and was like, stop doing that. Like, you're just putting yourself down or whatever. And I just looked at them and I'm like, yo, shut up. Let me make jokes about myself, because this is how I like to deal with things. And if you don't like it, then just go somewhere else. Because how you going to get offended for me, at me? Like, I want you to process that. And especially the Karens, man. The Karens. This, like, the fact that became a noun, an actual noun that we use commonly today, should show you how out of hand it is. The fact that I can say Karens. And I think it probably became so popular because Karens are just for in general, not just comedy. Karens at a store, Karens at a comedy show, Karens at a freaking ball game. But, you know, it's just too much to think about. And there's already so much to complain about, so much to be mad about, so much stuff that goes on in the world that just makes you just want to hang your head low. That, like, why go after the people that are trying to, you know, just cheer people up? And yeah, in my opinion, there are certain things that may be too soon to joke about or just shouldn't be joked about. But if you see how I deal with it, I literally just turn it off. I stop listening. I just go about my day. I don't make it a case to just go out and dog somebody for their sense of humor or try to cancel them and say don't watch this, blah blah blah, because what I may not find funny somebody else may find hilarious, and they might relate even more than me, and that might be their way of coping, you know. So it's just, I don't know, I don't like how everything is going, and I don't know if I've said this in a previous podcast. I think I did with my one with Jason, but it just reiterates the fact that it makes me more appreciative. Well, not appreciative. It makes me more understanding of like when old people let something real sketchy slip. Uh, I've had conversations with plenty of old folks who, after talking with them, I know that their heart's in the right place, and I know that they're not meaning to be disrespectful or meaning to be derogatory in any way, but they'll just say some stuff or say a joke that's just like, it'll make you look around the room like, did he really just say that? But I'm already experiencing that now. Like, making a joke and then everybody's like, oh, shouldn't do that. Where I made the same joke 7 years ago and everybody just laughed their asses off. And to see that already happen within my lifetime, and I'm not even in my 30s yet, like, I have to extend an olive branch to you old people, man. All you 60-plus-year-olds, the ones who grew up in the era of civil rights and segregation and stuff like that. Like, even the people that are like, that were and still are really cool with, black people and everything. And, some of the comments that they make, it was just, interesting. Like, I even had a conversation with one of my friend's parents, from the depths of the South, like the racist South. Like, their whole family was like not with it, basically. And he, was talking to me about how his childhood was and whatever. And he was just reiterating what they were saying. He did say the N-word, white guy. My friend was white and his dad was white. And his son, my friend, got so embarrassed. It was like, did he really just say that? And I just listened to the guy. And when he said it, he was describing how his family interacted with the word and what they thought of the word. And he was just basically reiterating how they were back in those days. And he used it as an educational tool and not, trying to be cool or trying to be hip or just saying it out of spite. And stuff like that is where it was like, I could see if it was a few other people that were other types of people, less understanding people, that they probably would have, they probably either would have threatened him or charged him. But I'm still understanding of why he was using such language or whatever and everything in that nature. And, like I said, I'm just extending the olive branch to those old people because this is already happening to me, and I'm not even old. I mean, sometimes I feel old, but nah, it's a lot of craziness. It's a lot of craziness. Speaking of craziness, I haven't researched this stuff really, but I've stopped watching the news. I've stopped keeping up with the news. I've stopped listening to so much stuff, like this monkeypox thing. I didn't even know about that until like social media and then making like memes and jokes about it. And I don't know how much I should really be paying attention to it because I don't know how relevant it is in my day-to-day life and what I do. I'm not out here touching on everyone or sleeping with everyone and, just being around who God knows who willy-nilly. But I've come to a mindset where I've just learned to live my own life and to do what I need to do and process things. And I don't know, I just stopped paying attention to stuff like that. And yes, you can call me ignorant for it. You could call me anything you want. You could say that I'm, trying to hide from these things or hide from my own responsibility of knowing what's going on. But it's like, what is it going to do for me? I'm not a scientist. I'm not in the health department. I'm not I'm not a huge advocate or savior. I'm not out here running these streets with a first aid kit and bags trying to save everyone I come across. I don't really have a lot of ties to stuff like that. And to focus on those kind of things when they're not prevalent in my life just feels like wasted energy. There's already so much to worry about, especially in your personal life, funds, finances, dealing with family, make sure you have your stuff all together. It's just too much. It's way too much. You have the entire news at your fingertips, my phone. I can see anything, look up anything at a moment's notice. The whole war with Ukraine thing. I haven't been keeping up with it, but I see updates here and there, and it's just it is a lot. It's too much to put on your brain, just constantly being flooded with all this bad information, and it's why I choose to stay away from it. And like I said, you can call me stupid or ignorant of that stuff if you want to, but at the end of the day, I do that for my own sanity, because I'd rather be ignorant of the things that don't affect how I live my life than to be aware of everything and constantly stressing about things that I have no control over. Eventually, I might look into this monkeypox thing a little bit more if it starts to really get serious, just like the COVID thing. COVID have ended up affecting us all. So I had to learn about it. And plus, I was in college, and I was a biology major. So literally, as soon as COVID popped up, all the finals and projects and research papers, almost all of them were just on COVID. So I technically had no choice but to learn about COVID and all that stuff. But, things going on around here, and even not around here, if it doesn't have any effect on how I live my life and what I need to do to make sure that I'm taken care of, I'm just not paying attention to it. It's the reason why, other than having fun with people who made no sense, I stopped arguing with a lot of the political stuff online with people, like with the whole abortion thing and with the whole, transgender things and stuff like that. Instagram has already labeled me a misogynist, transphobic, homophobic, all those things. But you people that know me know where my heart is. I just have my own opinions. I don't really voice them unless I'm having a conversation with someone I mutually respect or someone who's giving me enough energy to dive into those things. Because I'm not going to lie. Do I like playing devil's advocate sometimes? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I like having interesting conversations about things that I have opinions about? Yes. Yes, I do. Where I like to cut it off is when you have conversations with people who refuse to acknowledge. If you can't understand where I'm coming from and can't agree with where I'm coming from, those are all fine. But once you get to a point where you do not respect my opinion or you do not respect my time and my ability to voice my opinion, but you sit here and force yours on mine, that's where I draw the line. I've had conversations with people who have completely opposite views of me, but have treated me with respect, so I treated them with respect. And we had a actually constructive conversation about things. And we could both go our separate ways, not be pissed off or any hard feelings, and just have a intriguing conversation and keep it going. But people can't do that nowadays anymore. As soon as they hear an opinion that's against theirs, they immediately get defensive and they immediately label you. That's one thing that I do not respect at all. I had a conversation with people on Facebook that I had actually knew in high school about the whole, transgender swimmer thing. Not once did I call anybody out their name. Not once did I ever make any type of assumptions. Not once did I ever label anybody. Not once did I ever I didn't even insult the person in question. I never the swimmer. I never once called them any names. I never once said that, their change, that their personal choices were ever invalidated. Never said that they, said anything out of pocket about their personality or their character, anything like that. And yet, I got called a transphobe. I got called a homophobe. I was made fun of. They even insulted my family, who was in, like, my little banner picture behind my profile picture on my Facebook. And it was actually funny to see that because we couldn't agree on an outlook, you decided to insult me and my family and label me as certain things. And it just goes to show that, I don't know, a lot of these people that, start complaining or just have these certain outlooks, and these people that just immediately fly off the handle the main ones that are most passionate about, certain things. And that's why I used to identify myself with the liberal ideal, the liberal agenda. And now I can't do that anymore, because I myself have run into a lot of liberal people and liberal ideals that just make me, I'm not going to say make me ashamed. You know what? No, it makes me ashamed to see people act like that. Now, I still do have friends that are liberals, liberal friends. I still have people that have very liberal mindsets, but I can talk to in proper conversation, and I respect them, and I love them. However, that's not the majority. There's definitely not the majority of people that I come across. And I don't know, man. I just wish it would go back to, like, the early 2010s, man, where the only time people would talk to you like that is in a Call of Duty lobby. And people that were actually educated or claimed to be actually educated still had a respectful conversation about these things. I don't remember it being like that, man. In high school, it was never this destructive to have a political conversation. Now, I want to stay away from politics when it comes to almost everybody I talk to. Every time I hear something political come out someone's mouth, I immediately, if I don't know you, I'll immediately, like, just back away. Just back away. Smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave. That's all I'm going to do. And that's why, like, a lot of times, even now, I'm not going to put my certain opinions out there. Based on what I've said and what people have called me, you can kind of, I guess where my standpoint on certain things lie. However, if you were to hear me and my conversation and my arguments out, you would know that it never comes from a demeaning place. It never comes from a place of trying to undermine the rights of somebody or undermine the value of someone's character as a person. Like I said, it's just an opinion. It's not a tell-all, be-all ideal of how things should be with, a certain type of person or people who act a certain way. Never like that. But that's how they treat you. That's how they treat you nowadays. So it's best to keep your opinions to yourself. This cancel culture is toxic and it's cancer. I'm a cancer, but that shit is cancer. Excuse my language. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating being in this world. Too much negativity coming from all angles. That's why just, if you were to see me in person, I'm just a big goofball, man. I don't have time to be negative and sulking, whatever. And I believe that God put me on this earth to be an uplifter of spirits, uplifter of energy, That's what I believe my true purpose is on this planet. If I ever don't make it as an actor, if I don't get the dream career that I wanted, one thing that will never change and that will always stay true is that I love helping people, and I love bringing positive vibes to people and everything. So no matter what my opinions may be, no matter what I may think on a certain situation, I will never make someone feel any less than what they should. And I will always give people the respect that they deserve. Now, I will say that I'm also someone who doesn't just give respect just because it's due or just because I should. That's one thing that's very similar with my generation that the old generation really doesn't do a lot. My mom is one of those people that I've realized that she's a very strong-minded woman. She has her ways with things, and she's very opinionated, very strong, and she's not really a budging character. She stands her ground. However, she continuously and never fails to respect her elders. No matter what they've done, no matter what they said, she constantly respects them. Now, I would not blatantly disrespect my elders. I still wouldn't, no matter what they did. However, to show them a level of respect is something that I will automatically do. But if you give me any type of indication or any type of signature that shows that you're not deserving of said, respect, then I'm gonna stop giving it to you. Whereas my mom, she'll move a different way, but she'll still give you that respect. I'll do both. I'll move a different way and I give you that respect. But like I said, I won't blatantly go out of my way to disrespect the old people. But I'm not going to talk to you as if I would talk to like my nana or my grandparents that I actually do respect. That's one of my biggest things. Interpersonal relationships are something that I've always kind of studied a little bit. It's also one of the reasons why I feel, and even some other people would feel, that I'm really good at, giving certain advice, especially relationship advice. I feel like in my past life, I was a marriage counselor, because I swear to God, I may be single and I may not have had a lot of relationships, but sometimes I feel like that being in a lot of relationships isn't indicative of being knowledgeable about relationships. I was in my most recent relationship, was 2 years. And in those 2 years, I learned so much. Like a ridiculous amount of information that I learned. Not just about myself, of course, but just about how relationships are supposed to work. And I wouldn't say I was ignorant before, but there was just a lot of intricate details about how relationships survive that I definitely learned throughout that whole take. And mutual respect is definitely one big one. And sometimes when we get into relationships and we get very invested in somebody, a lot of times we notice red flags and see certain things, and we'll do one of three things. One, which is the least common, we actually acknowledge the red flags. Also, depending on how far you are into this person, like if you're already dating and you're noticing these red flags, or if you're noticing while you guys are in like the talking stage, you'll acknowledge these red flags and take them for as they are. You'll either see these red flags. Second, you'll see these red flags and then you just won't process them. That's what I did. I noticed the red flags and something tipped me off that they were red flags, but I just didn't properly break them down and really think of, okay, what does that red flag mean for me and the possibility that it may have to cause anything in our future relationship. And then the third is you just ignore the red flag. I don't ever ignore red flags. I'm just always, if I don't do anything about them, it's always the second one where I peep them, my brain peeps them. I just either don't know how to process it or I just put off on processing it. And to me, I don't think that's ignoring them. I think there's a difference between ignoring and not processing it. Not processing it to me is like you see it, you see it, you know it's a red flag, you just don't know why it's a red flag. And then ignoring it is almost like not even seeing it at all. Like you see it and you're just like, oh, that's not a red flag. That's just a quirk that she has. That's ignoring it to me. So to me, and before in the talking stage with my last relationship, I just noticed a lot of things and saw them as red flags. I just didn't know how to process it or what that meant for me. And, after a while, you start to learn a lot about yourself. You start to learn a lot about your tolerance and what you're willing to put up with and what matches your specific energy, your vibe, your mojo, whatever it takes for you to be at peace in your own household. I don't know exactly what it would be for me to find, I guess, like the perfect woman. I don't know. I don't want to sound conceited. I don't want to sound like I'm just trying to top myself up. But for me, I just think that my mom was right when she said that the right person for me would be someone who's just like me. And I have to agree with her. I think the person that would be just right for me would just be a female version of me. And some people say that is a bad thing. Some people say that opposites attract, that it's best to have a lot of different qualities so you balance each other out. However, I do also kind of believe that depends on what kind of person you are. And that also depends on how honest you are with yourself. For me, I am a very fun-loving person. I am a very energetic person. I'm a very spontaneous person. I'm also a very patient person. These are all things that I would love to look for in a significant other. However, I do know some of the things that I do lack. Like, say, household chores. I'm really good at doing household chores. My issue is getting into the mindset of actually doing said things, like cleaning. I'm a very good cleaner. If I put my mind to it and actually put effort in, I'm a very good cleaner. However, I struggle with actually getting to psyching myself up to clean. So to find it, I'd rather be with someone who is exactly like me than someone who is opposite of me. Because while, yes, at certain aspects, we'd be able to balance each other out and have those, those things combine, I'd rather just get with someone who matches my energy and my vibe and then try to improve together. And yeah, some things might kind of pose a problem, but that's where growth comes in. That's where maturity and growth and just overall improvement comes in, because even though I know those are my flaws, those aren't things that I say are 100% fact will stay that way. I'm not going to stay the guy that's disorganized and got stuff all over the place and doesn't know how to clean up a blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to stay like that. It's just one of those flaws that I know I have to work on. Yeah, I don't feel like anybody is 100% stuck in ways when it comes to habits. I'll say when it comes to habits. Now, if I get with someone and they tell me you're too happy, you need to calm down, yeah, not gonna happen. I don't care how much trauma, how many bad things happen in my life, that I'm never gonna be that person that just doesn't joke around, doesn't like to have fun, doesn't like to enjoy my time and be spontaneous. That'll never happen. But yeah, I just think that those kind of dynamics are interesting, and I like to see how people are in relationships. Like, I like to find out who's been in it for the long run, who's been doing it for a while, and just to see the type of dynamic or the type of just relationship that they've formed, and to see what kind of people they are. I think those are definitely fun to see. And a lot of times when I look into things, I haven't been able to look too deep into like who they really are as a people, but just what they seem on the outside. Vibes are everything, man. Like, I don't think I've seen a really old couple that's still together that don't mirror each other. And one thing I can say, if we're out, like me and my most recent ex, if we were out in public, it wasn't all the time, because we definitely like to joke around and stuff like that. But if we're out in public, it was kind of obvious that both of us had different vibes about each other. Like, I was just always more social, spirited, open energy, and she was just, kind of more to herself. Don't bother me, let me do my stuff and get out kind of energy. And after a while, it definitely dulled things a bit. Having a person that I can be goofy with 24/7 is definitely much more, it's much better for me and my soul than having someone that, that goofiness and spontaneity comes out maybe once in a while. So, I don't even know how I got to this conversation. Anyway, yeah, I've just been rambling and ranting. I thought it was about time that I, put out another podcast, and why not just talk about some random things? Since you people don't comment on what I should do next, you guys don't give me episode ideas. I still gotta do an episode with my boy Philip as a special guest, and I'm also probably, not for sure, but I'm trying to be part of another podcast group with my boys Philip and Garrett. Still trying to, brainstorm that and come up with whatever ideas we can, and see if we can put that in the works. But yeah, it was just about time that I released one. It's been too long. But yeah, if you are listening to this on Spreaker, YouTube, Facebook, whatever type of medium that you may be listening to this, please comment. Let me know how it was. Give me any feedback as to how to make this more engaging. Give me any ideas to future podcast episode ideas. But other than that, that's really all I have for today. I have a lot more stuff that I could talk about, but like I said, we could just put that in another episode. This one's already running almost an hour, so might as well cut this one off for now, so I don't keep rambling on as a tangent as I am even right now. But thank you for tuning in. I also thank all of you who has been checking up on me since I caught COVID, just seeing how I was doing and making sure I was all right. Can't nothing tie me down, so I'm gonna be back up at 'em, working, progressing, doing a whole bunch of stuff soon. At this point, it's just a matter of getting over this cough and getting out this dang house. But yeah, I will speak to you guys later. Like I said, comment, please. Hit me up, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your however long it takes me to put out another episode of this podcast. But thanks. Love you guys. See ya.